Hey everybody, Amy here. I'm just popping in before the start of each episode this week to let you know that this week is the end of our ADHD series. We'll go back to normal broadcasting next week, normal episodes dropping on a Monday. This week what you're going to see is each day, Monday to Friday, is a little episode popping in that is a PS episode. Simply because each of the guests that I interviewed came back to me afterwards and said, oh my goodness, these are the things that I forgot to say. And I thought initially, that's fine, that happens with every episode. But then I realised, actually, it's an ADHD thing, and what more perfect way to celebrate the end of our ADHD series than a PS from our guests. And so each day you'll have a different little PS. It's a different type of episode. I'm just giving them kind of free rein. Share what you want to share. They've got their notes, so nothing gets forgotten. Enjoy those. On Friday, you'll hear from me, and we'll go to an episode today. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to The Art of Decluttering. I am Amy, and as you heard at the top of this episode, I have one of our guests with us from our ADHD series. Hi, Jodie.
Hello, it's good to be back here.
It's so good to have you back. Listeners, I'm just kind of going to let Jodie share. I'm going to give her the stage. I may jump in with some questions and some, oh my goodness, that's incredible. Why didn't I think of that things? But I really do want to let Jodie have opportunity to share with you some PS things that she wished she got to share with you in the main episode. So hit us up, Jodes.
Okay, so in the last episode, I feel like we went on so many different tangents that weren't necessarily related to organising and decluttering, and yet I had a whole page of notes that I didn't even look at. So today it's more about some of the practical things that I do around my house that make my life easier. So I'll start with the kitchen because I spend so much of my time in the kitchen. So with a family of 5, it's all the preparing for meals and then the cooking and then the cleaning up. So anything that can make any of those stages easier is a bonus. So something that I've only started doing recently, but I'm finding really helpful is to prepare the dry ingredients for recipes. So I've got some spice jars. So I've got the ones I've got set up at the moment. I've got butter chicken and Mexican beef. So I've put together all the spice mixes so that when I'm cooking, I don't need to spend time measuring everything out. And, you know, I've got like onion and garlic burning while I'm trying to measure out the right ingredients and make sure I don't stuff it up. And now with this spice mix, I can just tip the whole jar in, keep cooking. It's so much easier. And I found that so setting up the jars as a standalone activity is much easier for me because I'm just focusing on that. There's less margin for error because I'm concentrating on what ingredients and how much, and I'm not distracted while I'm, cooking everything else or having kids around. So I can do that part of the preparation anytime and then just have it ready to go when I've got the pressure of cooking dinner. And same with I've started doing it with baking as well. So sometimes I've seen like for gifts, you can buy jars of like brownie mix or cookie mix, that sort of thing. So I've started doing that with some of the things that I cook regularly. So again, just have all the dry stuff ready to go. So then when I'm baking, I just need to add in the extra things.
So it's almost like making your own packet mix.
Yeah. So but it's cheaper and healthier, and I've got it on hand.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and so part of, I'm still trying to get into kind of a regular routine with my week, but at the moment, Mondays, part of that is like food preparation. So part of, one of the activities or tasks in that is preparing these jars of mixes so that it makes things easier later in the week. Also, sometimes when I know that I'm going to be like I have something I need to bake, or even for preparing dinner, sometimes just as I'm going about my day in the house, as I go through the kitchen, I might just get the recipe out and get the ingredients out and put them on the bench as the first step. And then later on either measure the ingredients out or even just put the right measuring spoons or cups there. And if I need 2, then I'll put 2 there so I don't get confused. And so it's just breaking things down into smaller steps and spreading them out over the day makes it easier because, with 3 young children, sometimes making dinner is a high pressure time. There's a lot of noise and activity, and it's really hard for me to concentrate and to not stuff up what I'm doing. So if I can, do some of the steps earlier in the day, it makes it a lot easier later for me.
I really like that idea. And I'm thinking if I was to do that, what I would probably do is get like a tray or something to kind of designate that spot on the bench. And so every time I looked at it, I'd be able to see what was there instead of like, did I get that spoon out for dinner tonight? Or is that because I just emptied the dishwasher, which is where I would get stuck. But I like the idea of like, I've got a tray or I've got a spot, and that's where the action's happening, and it's not time restraint. It's actually like I've got all the time in the day.
Yeah. Some people might say, well, you have to do the task anyway. Why not just do it all at once? But I guess with the way my brain works, if I can, spread it out and just have one small thing to do at a time, that is a lot easier to achieve.
That's fantastic. That's cool. So that's kitchen. Have you got another spot?
Just one more thing about the kitchen that I wanted to add. Is with the pantry. So I last decluttered it a couple of months ago. So I got everything out, got rid of heaps of stuff. And then when I was putting things back, I was automatically putting them back the way that I always have. So putting jars and tins together, putting rice and legumes together and pasta, and kind of grouping them like that. And then I'm like, hang on, why don't I set this up according to how I actually use these items? And so I put pasta sauce with the pasta and red lentils there, because the only thing I cook with these lentils is a bolognese mix. And so I put them together because when I'm cooking, I just want to go to one spot in the pantry and grab them all out. Or when I'm doing the shopping list, be able to just look in the one spot rather than go, okay, check the jars, check the pasta.
Oh my gosh, I need my yes button right here. This is me wishing that I had pulled it out of the drawer before we started recording. That's brilliant.
And then, there's other items like nuts that I realised I use some of them for baking and for sweet stuff, and some of them I use for savoury. And so I've separated them in the different parts of the pantry where I've got those ingredients. So I think
makes so much sense.
Yeah, since getting diagnosed, more and more I'm thinking, do what works for me. Don't just do what other people do or what I've been taught is the way to do things. It's no, what will actually make my life easier based on how I do things.
Brilliant.
So other things around the house. I came up with this phrase that I told you. It was specifically for the last episode. I didn't even use it for talking about intentional multiples, because a lot of decluttering stuff that I read about or hear about talk about getting rid of double ups of things. And, I read lists of here's 20 things that you can declutter straight away. And I'd go through and go, no, these things actually make my life easier. So, intentionally buying or having extras of some items, just cuts out steps. So one example is having rubbish bins in every room of the house. So I was mentally going through and going, actually it is every room that we have one. And so some people say that's excessive, or they get in the way, or they just look ugly, or whatever. But when you've got a house full of ADHDers, just if I'm working at my desk and I have to get up and go to another room, first think of where there is a bin to put something in there. That'll just disrupt my flow of what I'm doing, or I'll get distracted when I go to the other room, or there's just so much potential for things stopping up and taking longer than they need to. And if I've got a bin right there, I can put the rubbish in. It stops me from having rubbish lying around. And then you apply that to everyone in the house, like the kids' bedrooms or, the main living areas. Just by having extra bins around means that the rubbish actually gets in them, and then it's just easy to go around and empty them, on rubbish night rather than having random
rubbish.
It's already in bins. So
I had never realised we do the same. We have a bin in every single room in the house, including the laundry, and we have. You might be the same. We have a tissue box of tissues in every single room.
Yeah, we have a lot. We have our other thing is dirty clothes baskets. I've got a lot of them because kids' socks in the lounge room. Why when they're watching TV, why do they pull their socks off or pull a jumper off and it just ends up on the couch? I'd rather just have a basket nearby that they can, or even if they don't put it in, at least it's easy for me to scoop it up and chuck it in there. So
that's cool. I said I wouldn't interrupt with stories. I literally set up. I was working with an ADHD the other day, and she found the same thing. It's why does my lounge room always have dirty clothes in it? And so we set up a dirty clothes basket in the lounge room. And she was like, why did I never think of this? And I was like, I know, because like the rules say you have a dirty clothes basket in the bathroom or we're in the bedroom or whatever, but that doesn't work for you. You need it in the lounge room. And then when I went and saw her the second time, she's like, this is amazing.
I know, yeah, it's little things like that. Well, they seem little, like it's a little change, but it makes such a big difference. And then the flow-on effect of, oh, my space looks cleaner. I feel calmer now. I can attack other tasks that, like, it just flows on just by having, things that are intentional and just kind of cut out the steps of.
Are there other things that are intentional duplicates for you?
Yes. So there's some items of clothing that I have 2 or more of. So there was a jumper that I got last year that I really liked, and then I was like, I spill a lot of food on myself. So I was so scared of stuffing up this jumper, and I'm like, well, I don't want to not wear it because I don't want to make it dirty, but I also don't want to have stains down the front. And so I bought an extra, and I'm thinking, oh, people are going to see my wardrobe and be like, why have you got 2 of the same thing? But I'm like, it works for me. It's so comfy. I love that jumper. So now I've got spares, and I've always got, well, 1 spare, but it means while one gets washed, I've got another one. And then same with just like basic T-shirts and leggings. So I often have like just plain black T-shirt and coloured bottom, or plain leggings, coloured top. Like I just, having a lot of the same basics just works for me. And also from a sensory perspective as well. Like if I find something that's really comfortable, I'd rather buy extras of that same thing rather than try something different just because I need to have different items of clothing and risk 100%. Having something that isn't comfy. So if I just figure if you find something, if you're onto a good thing, then stick to it. So
said every ADHD ever. One of the things you said around like leggings is you buy multiples. What I found really helpful is I don't just have multiple leggings. I have exactly the same pair, because then I'm not going through trying to find the pair I like. Yeah. And so I literally will buy the exact same style, colour, size, everything the same length, because then it's genuinely a duplicate and I don't have to go, oh, is that the one with the 3/4 lengths or the full length?
Yeah, so I've got my 3/4 on one shelf and my full length on another shelf, but they're all from the same shop. They're all they're all going to feel the same when I put them on, and know they're going to work. So,
love it.
I think there were other. Even just other items that I know that I lose frequently or just misplace. So things like sunnies. There's no way that I can ever buy an expensive pair of sunnies because they'll either get broken or lost. And so I just buy cheap ones from Kmart, but whenever I buy them, I buy about 3 pairs at once so that I can have one in the car. I can have one. I keep one in the laundry because when I'm hanging out washing, I often wear sunnies so I don't the glare from the sun. And then have one in like whatever bag or backpack or I know what I'm like. And so to prevent having to run around trying to find them or go without them, and then, I get migraines from having the bright sun. It's just easy to buy extras and put them in places where I know that I'll use them. And so I was thinking, like, maybe you can correct me on this if this isn't right, but for me, I think of clutter as being extra things that you're not actually using. But if I'm intentionally getting something that's making my life easier, then I don't see it as clutter. It's just extra.
It's not. No. That's helping you live the life that you want. It's adding value. It's important. It's useful. 100%. Like the bins. Yes, maybe it's weird that we have like 9 bins in our house, but that's not clutter. We don't have 9 bins not being used. I'm on Team Jodie with the sunglasses if that's what works for you. And then for me, if I buy cheap sunglasses, I don't value them as much, and so I lose them. So for me, I've got like prescription sunnies, but I only have 2 pairs, 1 in each car, because if I know that if I get more, I will lose them. So you got to know yourself, which is, I think, an important part of what you're saying.
So the other big area where I spend a lot of time and energy is with washing. So some of the things that I do came about out of necessity. So the first house that we lived in when we got married, we had hardly any line space and it was in the shade most of the time. So I learnt to be economical in how I use that line space. And so anything that can be hung gets hung. So any tops and dresses all go on a coat hanger so initially it was because it takes less room. But now I just find it easier to either put things straight from the clothesline into the wardrobes or things that, like I tried for a while hanging all my T-shirts and it just annoyed me. I'd rather have them in a drawer. That works for me. So I just fold them off the hangers into a basket and then they're still rinsed, just put straight in a drawer. And I don't know if hanging stuff makes things less wrinkly. I think they do, but the only reason I own an iron is for kids' name labels.
You need to just get a Sharpie. That's what I do now.
So I might not even need
No,
I've bought a whole bunch of labels that are cute and colourful. So, but yeah, I don't iron anything. Our washing machine has an easy iron option, which I don't really know exactly what it does differently to the other cycles, but I use it for business shirts and school uniforms and then hang the stuff straight away and then put them in the cupboards. So
brilliant.
And I've never owned a dryer, so I don't know if that's what makes clothes wrinkly and why other people do ironing, or if I just have lower standards of how clothes look. But
I have no idea because we don't iron, but I don't put my clothes in the dryer. So I have no idea. Can't answer that question. See what works for you.
The last time I ironed, it was a shirt for my husband. We were going to a wedding and I ended up putting more wrinkles in the shirt than what they, initially there was kind of the crinkly sort of wrinkles, but then they were like full creases after I'm just like, why am I even doing this? It didn't look that bad before. And so I've never bothered ironing since because I'm like, it's just frustrating. I'm not good at it. I don't really want to learn because I don't see the need for it. I found
pointless, annoying.
Yeah, there's going to be people like, oh, no, you have to iron. But again, do what works for you. Ironing doesn't work for me, so I don't do it. But yeah, I found ways that do work for the washing. So
that's awesome. Now, anything PPS you've written down because I know you wrote notes.
Ask me in 10 minutes after the call. I'll think of.
That's all right. You can jump into the Facebook community if you think of other things.
Yeah, I'm just having a look. I think the only other thing that I would say that works for me, and I think I found a lot of freedom in thinking about this, was a few years ago. I had so much pressure on myself to stay on top of the dishes. Well, dishes and washing are like the big, just ongoing tasks in a family, and feeling like there's the expectation that all the dishes should be done at the end of the day, clear benches to start the new day. And while I would love to have that happen, I'd love to come out in the morning and have that, the amount of energy required to make that happen, and especially when my kids were younger, like they would not go to bed. Like it would be really late, like 9:30, 10 o'clock before I could start to do anything, like whether it was tidying up or having time to myself. Or so then if I did like the full dishes, full tidy up of the kitchen, it'd be so late and I was so tired that I'm like, this actually isn't worth it for my limited time and energy and mental capacity and all of that. And so I started to just tell myself, if I do one part of dishes and one part of washing every day, so depending on what capacity I have, that might be just emptying the dishwasher and just leave the next dishes there. But then the next day it'll be like, well, now I need to actually wash dishes. Or with the washing, it might be, I've got some towels folded, I'll just put them in the cupboard. Other days it's really sunny or I've got lots of time, I'll churn through like 3 loads of washing and get it all hanging out. And so just by doing something, I know that I'm constantly moving forward. It's not going to get completely out of control. And yeah, it'll fluctuate depending on what I can do and the other family members as well. Like I don't do all the dishes and all the washing. So my husband and I will, we know that we each have different amounts of energy on different days. So sometimes he'll be like, yep, just want to listen to a podcast and churn through all the dishes and get it all done. Other days I'll be the one doing them. So yeah, I think that has been really helpful for my mental space and physical space of. Yeah,
there's an episode that we did a little while ago called All or Something.
Huh.
And I think that it's a good reminder that it's not all or nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I often think in terms of all or nothing. And then you just get frustrated. I wasn't able to get all of it done. But yeah.
Or you just don't start.
Yeah, true.
You just don't do anything because you're like, well, if I can't do all the washing, what's the point? Well, actually, the point is that tomorrow me will be really glad that I just got one load of towels done.
Yeah.
I have found this really helpful. I think these, like, the shorter practical, like, here's the kitchen, here's how the washing works, here's how the intentional multiples can work, is really good. Listeners, make sure you go back and listen to Jodie's full episode if you haven't already. But thank you, Jodie, for coming and do this PS episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm glad, firstly, that I'm not the only one who was like, I forgot all this important stuff. But secondly, that, you've made this space for us to come back and share the extra bits.
Yeah,
the bonus.
It's so good. Episodes. Listeners, you'll see these episodes in your feed all week. So enjoy, and I will see you next week. Bye. I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people who are the traditional custodians of the land this podcast is recorded on. I would also like to pay respects to their elders, both past and present, of the Kulin Nation, and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love you to rate and review the show on your podcast app. That will help others to find the Art of Decluttering podcast as well. If you'd like any more information, you can visit theartofdecluttering.com.au, and I would love to see you in my Facebook group. Just search the Art of Decluttering community on Facebook and join today. I hope that you have an incredible rest of your day and enjoy the freedom.